All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to today's episode of YYC Business Speaks. Today, we're here with Jon Lamont, and he is with Get Automated. Hey, Jon, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Julia. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on this show. If you don't mind, we could just jump right into it.
Let's go. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell me a bit about your business.
Yeah. So Get Automated, we're an automation agency. So what that means is that we help business owners automate and streamline their processes by plugging in different software platforms and integrating them all together, allowing them to kind of remove themselves from those menial day-to-day tasks that would be better done by a robot, or in this case, a piece of software. So yeah, we just automate as much of a business as possible to allow the business owner to do what they do best.
Yeah, that's super important, especially with systems and business and the amount of time that saves. Hey.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And we, on average, with even the most simple automation, can save 5 to 10 hours a week per person. So, I mean, it's incredible the amount of time that can be saved. And, one thing that business owners run into is like, well, what do I do with that time? Well, that's where you really start to go and you generate the revenue, right? That's where you go out and you have those crucial conversations and where you can really start to focus on the bigger picture things that are going to push your business forward. So yeah, the time saving is just massive.
Yeah. Yeah. The sales conversations. That's one thing. If you don't have sales, then you have no business, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
freeing
And
up that time for that.
we get so caught up doing those menial tasks, and it's just like, well, it has to get done. Yeah, absolutely, it has to get done, but not necessarily by you. You can have a piece of software do it for you.
I love it. Okay, good. Why did you start your business?
Well, why did I start the business? So, okay, it's kind of two answers there. So the reason why I started business in the first place is because I was working in the construction world. I was working in a gravel crushing industry and had a 14-year career in that industry. And it's funny because I peaked, I kind of capped out at a certain position. I realized that if I don't go back to school to be an engineer, I'm never going further than this. This is my life. I could literally see the people who are 20, 30 years older than me doing the same thing that I'm doing every day. I'm like, this is my future. This is the best it gets. And, I wasn't going to go back to school to be an engineer. I had a young family at home, and there was no way that I could go and advance. So I'd peaked. And so I realized I need something more. So I actually started a landscape business. Barrier to entry was very, very, there was no barrier to entry. I could get in very easy, do my thing there. It ended up going quite well, but I realized how much I hate winters, and I wasn't going to do any kind of snow removal stuff. So I said, well, this isn't going to work for me for much longer. So I realized that, okay, I'm pretty good at marketing. I've been doing it for my landscape business. So I'm going to dive in with both feet and just see what I can do in the marketing space. Ended up getting quite good. So that's how kind of the first portion of my business started, was just getting out of that career that I was kind of trapped in. And then we evolved since then, and went from a marketing agency where we realized that, as we're driving more leads to these people, they're having a hard time closing them. They couldn't convert them. They couldn't, a roofer getting down on the roof at the end of the day, and he's like, well, now I got to close all these leads that you gave me. And by that time, it's too late. We have a very small amount of time before they move on or get quotes from somebody else. So we started automating that process for them. Then we started doing more sales, more marketing automation, more day-to-day operation stuff, like kind of onboarding new clients and the whole client journey, that automating as much as possible. Then we realized this is where we need to be. This is where we're getting the best results for people. So yeah, it started. The reason I started business was to get away from the career I was trapped in, and the reason why we've evolved is because that's what our clients needed most, was the automation side versus the marketing. And marketing is still very important, but you can't market to a broken process.
Yeah, that's awesome. You can't market to a broken process. Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the other thing I really like what you said was you in your job looking forward, and you're like, is this all there is 15, 20 years down the road? Like, is this what I'm going to do? And I remember back when I started nursing, I was 1 year into nursing, and I had heard that from someone. I don't know if I read it in a book or a podcast, but it's like, look at someone doing what you're doing 20 years down the road and ask yourself, is that where I want to be 20 years from now? And like right off the bat, 1 year into it, I was like, no, I need to go do something differently. Right.
Yes. Well, luckily you figured it out sooner. I was 14 years in the career before I figured it out. So I consider that a little bit of time wasted, but yeah, good on you for identifying that early.
Yeah. And then you probably got a lot of experience out of the 14 years that really help what you do now anyhow.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't talk about it a lot, but I should. I should give it more credit than I do, because I mean, it taught me how to speak. I had 20 employees that I was looking after. I had to give a safety meeting in the morning and in the afternoon. So I'm speaking in front of 20 people. I didn't realize I was public speaking until, years into my business world, or into my business life. And I'm like, you know what? I got a lot of value from doing those presentations every morning and every evening. And I was doing all the kind of hiring and firing and all that stuff. So it taught me a lot about business. And I was actually in charge of fixing bottlenecks, which was all about kind of systems and automation and that kind of stuff. So it really came all around full circle. And yeah, I should give a lot more credit to the industry, because
Yeah.
it did give me some valuable lessons for my business life.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you went to start this business, what did you think being successful at it was going to look like?
Oh, geez, I had no idea. Yeah, I was just, I was like a fish out of water at first. I assumed that, okay, if you build it, they will come. You have something good, you do it well. People are just going to come to you, and you want your business, and it's going to be very easy to scale. I couldn't have been more wrong. And so, yeah, I definitely thought success was going to be a lot easier than it was. I had to learn a lot about dealing with people, in the sales aspect, and customer support, like client experience, client journey, that kind of stuff. So yeah, my outlook on it is a lot different now than it was back in the day, but I definitely thought it was going to be easier, and I should have listened. I mean, everyone told me it was going to be tough, but I just didn't listen. So that's yeah, I've learned a lot since then.
Yeah, what do you think one of the toughest parts of it was, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was kind of, you get that imposter syndrome where it's like, am I good enough to be doing this? And it's all, I mean, a lot of it is you're battling yourself the whole time. Honestly, I think that's where the biggest struggle is, because you're good at what you do. You have a great product, you have great service, but it's the fact that you have to sell to people. I think sales is probably the hardest, right? Because you just get that imposter syndrome. Who am I? Why would they want to listen to me? Right? I was this young guy. I mean, it's I don't know. I think that was the hardest part, is getting out of my own way and realizing that I am good at what I do. I do have a good service, and people need what I have. So that was probably the hardest. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I typically say to my business owners that being a business owner is a spiritual journey first. Like, all the things you got to deal with about yourself, dealing with the rejection, like you said, the imposter syndrome, going out and selling. And like, sales isn't even actually about selling. It's like about who you have to become to grow into being someone that's willing to offer your services to humanity, right? And like,
Absolutely.
for what's
Yeah.
available. So that's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So they say smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what's one or two mistakes you've made along the way that other business owners can learn from?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, good one. So I'd say the biggest one, I mean, I entered into a partnership that I probably shouldn't have entered into. They say never get into business with family or friends. Again, I didn't listen. That's something that other people struggle with. I'm not going to struggle with it. Sure enough, yeah, I get into business with a friend, and it was just a disaster right from maybe not right from the get-go, but shortly thereafter. And it just went on way too long and had a nasty breakup. And I mean, it felt more like a death than a breakup, because it didn't just affect the business. It was like our friendship was ruined, right? And
Mm,
so that was a big mistake. It's just getting into someone that I shouldn't have gotten into business with. And I think one of the things that people need to identify is the strengths and the weaknesses. The problem is, the reason why we got along so well as friends is because we have a lot in common. So we had all the same strengths, all the same weaknesses, and we were just, instead of divide and conquer, we were just like this one object trying to do everything, and it just was a disaster, because it's just not enough was getting done in other areas, and it just it caused all kinds of problems. So I'd say that is the biggest for me. That is one mistake that I learned in the business. And then the other one I think is just probably along the lines of what I just touched on. And it's just, trust yourself. And I didn't at first. I was behind the scenes all the time. I thought that someone else could be the face of the company and get everything done that I wanted done. That's not the case. I mean, no one's coming to save us, right? If we're not willing to step out and do our own kind of dirty work, well, then we're going to find it very hard. So a mistake that I did for the first little bit was stay behind the scenes and just not be the kind of the face of the company and the brand that is get automated, right? And I think that was a mistake, and something I learned from probably a year and a half in, maybe even 2 years in, which was
mm,
yeah, a long time to go with that wrong direction there. So yeah, those are the two biggest for me.
Right. So what caused the turning point for you in terms of going from behind the scenes to being like, oh, I actually got to be out in front?
Yeah, I think, well, the partnership breakup was a big one, right? At that point, it's like, okay, well, now he was kind of the face, and it wasn't the greatest face of the company. I mean, he didn't represent himself well in the fact that, the way that I probably would have liked our brand to be represented. And so that was a big wake up call to me. It's like, now that he's gone and I got to come out from behind the woodwork here, nobody really knew who I was. And so it's like, well, I know him. I don't know the company. And so it's like, oh, okay, well, that's my biggest mistake. But then it's just a matter of identifying that, I'm not bad at this whole sales thing, and I'm pretty good with people, and I know how to speak. Like, what am I doing hiding? Like, come on, it's time to grow up and get into the front of your business here. And so, yeah, that's what it took. It was basically understanding that he was the face, and that's who people recognize, and the fact that I'm good enough to do this. I mean, why would I be hiding behind somebody else? Again, nobody's coming to save me. If you want success, you got to go out and get it yourself. So yeah, that's probably what I'd say there.
Yeah. You discovered it was your time to shine.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Jon, where can people find you?
Okay. Yeah. So, I have a personal website, jonlamont.com. That's a great place, but getautomated.ca is the company website. So those two places are the best spots to find me. I'm on Facebook. Just look up Jon Lamont. Instagram, same thing, Jon Lamont. A little bit on YouTube, not as much as I'd like to be, but I'll be on there. And then LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms. So you can find me there as well. So yeah, those are the main ones.
Okay, cool. Do you have a specific target audience, by the way?
You know what? Yeah, I have different offerings for different target audiences. So I'd say, in general, it's probably someone who's been in business for 2 to 3 years plus, and looking to scale. I mean, at this point, they've gone through kind of the growing pains. They've gone through the whole sweat equity side of it, right? Where they're going to put in all their blood, sweat, and tears to try and grow their business. Now they realize they need some help. That's probably the target for me. It's not very much industry specific as much as it is kind of where they are in their business.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, is there anything that you'd like to offer?
Yeah, okay, so you know what, I use a software platform. It's called Keep. Now it's a CRM. It's a CRM, but it's more than that. It's like this, again, for automation, it all starts with your kind of CRM. If you have a CRM that can kind of do all things, your automation becomes easier. So Keep is the platform that completely changed my business and ultimately changed my life. And so I'm a big advocate of Keep. I wasn't back in the day. I went into it unbiased, and then I just did a bunch. I had a client once who's like, okay, I've got 9 different criteria and 6 different platforms. I need you to deep dive into these different platforms with these 9 criteria. And I don't remember them now, but it's like user friendliness, integration capabilities, cost, all these different criteria. And Keep just dominated every one of these. So we started doing work. That's the one that he chose. We started doing work on this platform and realized we need to switch. We were on HubSpot at the time. We need to switch over to Keep. So we did. Since then, I've become a partner. I'm just such a fan of what they do. So anyways, long story short, I have the ability right now to give out a free trial to Keep. Now, when you get the free trial, you go in, you don't really know what's going on. You're kind of lost on the whole thing. So what I've done is I've recorded a whole bunch of videos and preloaded these free trials with these videos. So you go in and it literally walks through the setup of how to even use it, all the different functionality, how to use the different automation capabilities. And then I preloaded as well with 4 different automation campaigns that I'd sell for $199 a piece. So loaded with extra value. You get to try it for 2 weeks. At the end of it, if you don't like it, it just disappears and you don't have to ever pay a thing. But if you ever wanted to move forward with it, it's already there. Everything that you've already done with it gets saved. Again, it's an amazing platform. So right now, yeah, it's a free trial to Keep, loaded with just a bunch of extra stuff that I was able to do on top of that.
Very cool. Okay, so if they want to take you up on that, Jon, where do they go, or do they email you, or?
Yeah, so you can visit, I guess it's a kind of a long URL. It's keep, KEAP, getautomated.ca/keep offer. Okay. So that's something that, they can email me. You can just go Jon@getautomated.ca, and Jon is JON. If you email me directly, I'll send you the link. You can also check out getautomated.ca, and there'll be a pop-up on there somewhere. It might be a little harder to find than going directly to it, but either one of those, and I'd be happy to get you that information.
Okay, perfect. I mean, I'll also put it on the show notes, so check out the link below. you can just hit that and get to the website if you're looking for it.
Perfect.
Okay, one last question, Jon. Tell me what's most inspiring to you today.
What is most inspiring? Wow. I just I love the fact that we're in such an entrepreneurial world right now, and just seeing so many different people at such a young age succeed. And there's obviously, you're seeing a lot of it on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff, but I mean in real business in general. I mean, I'm seeing I get advertised to by a 16-year-old right now who's doing some pretty crazy things, and it's just so cool to see. To me, the world we live in is filled with opportunity, and that inspires me daily. I think getting on top of all the new trends in the marketing world and that kind of stuff is always exciting for me as well. But yeah, just seeing all the success, even for people at such a young age, it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm present to the amount of opportunity that is out there, right? It's like people don't actually have to stay in jobs that they don't like if they're willing to foster and cultivate their skills or want to go learn new skills. They can do anything they want to go and discover what they really want to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and this entrepreneur world really offers that, so I love it.
Yeah,
That
and
is
so
that
much
is
opportunity.
inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, thanks, Jon. Cool. Well, thanks for being on this show and sharing a bit about your business and your expertise, and really contributing to other business owners in them growing their business. And the automation aspect of a business is super important, especially if you want to get your time back and not have to spend so many hours in your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, this was great. And again, if anyone ever has any question about automation or the best CRM for what they're doing or best software platforms, I'm always available to have a conversation about that. So yeah, thanks again for having me.
Awesome. Thanks.